And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wisdom Transmissions Gathering. Good to see you all here today. I am going through a little bit of an under the weather situation, which is very unusual for me, but I'll be explaining that later about why I feel that it is actually taking place. But of course, I have my special guest, my lovely partner, Breanne.
Hello, everybody.
So Breanne is going to be part of the broadcast this morning. We're not actually going to go right into announcements the first thing. We're going to be doing that after. So we're going to get right into tarot reading regarding the upcoming lunar eclipse. So it's taking place here on April 8th. And of course, we're hearing a lot about it throughout the internet. And Breanne has been doing a really amazing job getting clients and giving them profound readings that have really started to change their life. So Breanne is really just taking off, and I wanted to bring her on today and talk about her website. So again, it's readingswithbreanne.com, right? So she offers quite a few different things, from healing, from tarot readings, from vibrational and kundalini healing. Again, I've trained her in that, so she is very, very good at it. She's also doing feng shui as well too. So Breanne, how have things been going through learning about the eclipse and all that, and through everything that you've been receiving about it?
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely some intense energies coming up right now. I was connecting with my spirit guide Songhees and the crystal ball recently as well, and what I'm really seeing is a lot of just like the thinning of veils as well. I kept seeing all these different almost like images of faces, but they're kind of distorted. So I feel like a lot of people are going to start to see a lot of interesting things, kind of like out of this world. It's going to be quite maybe shocking to some people as well.
Like dropping a veil.
Yeah, I feel like, of course. And originally when I was pulling some cards as well, it seemed like the Tower came out on the Ten of Pentacles there. So I think a lot of things are going on behind the scenes pertaining to finances and the financial systems as well. So yeah.
So did you want to pull a reading? Maybe get an idea about, again, just kind of a breakdown of what we're expecting, because I'm noticing that the energies are getting intense. I've always talked about in the past that when a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse comes in, we start feeling it usually a couple of weeks beforehand, and then we start feeling the effects a couple of weeks after. I have certainly felt the effects a couple of weeks beforehand. In fact, Breanne and I were just going on a little trip, and we just felt like everything was just backwards. One morning, we just felt like everything was out of sorts, like people just weren't responding properly. It just felt like we get that common phrase, a glitch in the matrix, right? So it certainly felt like that, just people glitching out, just people feeling like they just didn't belong, right? There was a lot of repolarization, and like I said, that feels like a veil that was falling, or basically a veil that was dropping, pertaining to the prelude of this immense lunar eclipse. So this lunar eclipse, again, happening April 8th, very intense, like I said, especially for us living around Canada, United States, because again, it's like the other part of the X that's going across from Mexico all the way up into Atlantic Canada. So I'm very interested to see exactly how things play out. So Breanne, what did you get for your reading there?
Yeah, so I did pull one oracle, and it's interesting because one came up that said time to go, if you guys can see that there. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of people as well almost awakening, because in the present, if we take a quick look at the situation itself, it was a Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands that came up, but it came up in reverse as well. So I feel like there might be a little of a burden to some people, but there's going to be a lot of veils lifting and a lot of intuition, because we have the present, we have the High Priestess here. So I feel like even people's intuitive senses are really going to come to surface. There's going to be a lot more people being able to connect with their higher selves a lot more as well. And with the overall energy of the situation, we have the Nine of Pentacles, so just a lot more, I'm just feeling like the word freedom, a lot more flexibility and independence with everyone as well. So lots of, I feel like, good things coming out of the eclipse, even though it's a bit of a stagnant energy. But for the near future as well, and some of the advice cards, we do have the Five of Swords. So I do feel like there's maybe some messages coming to surface that might shock a lot of people, like really important information coming out.
Truth bombs.
Yeah, like truth bombs. And another thing that I was seeing in the crystal ball when I was meditating was like a volcano. Now, a lot of the times I'm thinking like it could be a symbolic meaning as well, where it's like something's ready to burst, something's coming to surface. But it really is going to bring, we've got the Two of Cups and the Ace of Cups, so really positive energies coming together where there's going to be a lot of union with people, is what it feels like. So a lot of, even though we've got some stuffy energies, I feel like things are really starting to shift. I'm just seeing like doorways opening as well. So it's kind of this really wonderful time for awakening with your high priestess there as well.
So what does the oracle mean to you with its connection to the tarot?
Time to go. I feel like this is a time to like let go of all those whatever negative belief systems and things that we've been maybe programmed, that have been like in our conscious mind for all these times, and just letting go and opening up a new doorway. If you look, she's like going down into a new door. There's a new door opening here. So I just feel like this is going into our reality, that we want to uplift our vibrations and work together as a community as well.
Wonderful. So can you tell people about Songhees? Because you said that you were going into the crystal ball and you were talking to Songhees, and what is Songhees all about?
Yeah, so Brad got me this beautiful crystal ball a while back, and I connected with this being. He's like this wise old owl. Really very interesting, like almost like I feel like a spirit being. Yeah, it's kind of like an elemental, like a consciousness being. And I was getting, he's maybe from around the 7th dimension is what I got, but just he's kind of that bit of a bridge or a gateway for me to connect to other spirits and other beings as well, because what he was also showing me in the ball too the other night was a fox. And I feel like this is like the awakening of intuition, and just a deeper connection with the spirit for sure.
Yeah, foxes, especially in Chinese tradition, will often represent good fortune, good prosperity, good tidings, good opportunities to come all together. So,
yeah.
And I'm kind of feeling that with the lunar eclipse, because we're always getting a lot of these people thinking that it's doom and gloom, it's casting darkness. Well, in a way it is, because it's an eclipse. But as I've talked about, it's the idea of like having a surgical procedure with the earth. So basically we're getting an incision, and it's a necessary incision. It's kind of like the earth is on the surgical table, and she's getting this kind of minor surgery to pull out something that has not been very, very pleasant for her. So it's almost like clearing out an infection, clearing out a parasite, right? And that's basically what I feel is happening here, right? So eclipses have often had this particular type of appearance, believing that they are horrendous, horrible, that they have a lot of darkness to them. And I've always said, you don't really want to be out in eclipse, because it is a surgical procedure for the earth, and it has a very, very dense concentration of energy. Because like I said, you're looking at a point source, right? You're looking at the sun, you're looking at the moon, and there's a ray that's coming out through that point source. That's a very deep, dense, heavy concentration of energy. Like I said, it's like a surgical procedure. But once you get that surgery and get that stuff pulled out, there's a bit of a recovery time. But after that recovery time, things are going to start looking better, right? We're going to start seeing, again, a lot more phenomena. Like I said, how did we start off with this year? We looked at something like the Bayside Mall in Florida with interdimensional extraterrestrial beings coming in through a mall, right? So we've had all of these particular veils dropping. We are going to see a lot more veils dropping. Did you have anything else to add on that?
Well, I was just kind of pulling another oracle, and exactly you said, it says clean up here, so it's kind of time to clean
Good
up.
Synchronicity.
Isn't that funny, hey? Yeah, so I know, and that's, I think too, we're going to see, like you said, there's going to be a lot more sightings. I feel like people are going to be catching a lot of things, maybe even on video, some interesting things coming to surface for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So again, that's basically what I'm seeing with this lunar eclipse. And like I said, people are thinking, well, but it's just so intense right now, right? Especially with what's happening with government, right? Whether it's Canada, whether it's the US, whether it's overseas, international in that sense. All of these governments are basically just fueling up. They're just firing up. They got all this intensity going on. I said, well, that's good, because what it's actually telling me is that this is the prelude to those old governments falling and seeing something new come together. In fact, in Canada, Newfoundland, Labrador is actually considering becoming an independent province. That's amazing, right? And Quebec and Alberta may think of joining them. So what this is telling me is that the old version of Canada is about to die. Wonderful. And this is also telling me that the United States, in regards to how it is, the old United States as we know it is about to die. Wonderful. Right? And it's going to be the same thing. Australia, areas of Europe, everywhere. These countries that, again, are having so much intensity of heat pertaining to their governments, where we're seeing these governmental tyrants basically rising up and trying to just cast all this heat and taxes and enforcements and that stuff. It is the prelude to their death, right? It's the idea of those old systems dying out. What's going to come out of it? Independence, a republic, sovereignty, right? And that's what I've said, is that what I've talked about, especially going back these past couple of months, is if you start seeing states, provinces, countries talking about going independent, you're going in the right direction. That's what you want. This is not a democracy, guys. Democracies are, again, dictatorships in disguise. So basically, it's the republic that is going to bring about great change. And we're just starting to see little peaks of that. And that was actually one of the manifestations that I was bringing about in the early part of the year, is we may start to see some touching and basing of independence talk about independence, talk about sovereignty, talk about actually having maybe a province or a state or a country starting to go independent, and we're discussing that now. Bam, right? That is wonderful. That is exactly what we want to see. Adronis would always say that between the last solstice and the upcoming solstice right now, which he refers to as kind of like an inverted winter solstice, there is going to be a very, very powerful shift taking place, and everything is just going to fire up. Like I said, not a single stone is going to be left unturned. So have you gotten any more foresight in regards to the eclipses when you've done readings on them?
A big thing of it, it's funny that you were mentioning I kind of touched base a little bit on it, but I was seeing that, what is that movie where the guy, I think it's called Obey, and he has those glasses and he puts them on and he just sees a completely different world.
They Live.
Okay,
With Roddy Piper,
live.
yeah.
Okay, and I just keep seeing that image as well. It's like just everything's coming to surface, and people are gonna like turn around and see all these things changing. Everything's just shifting right now, and the frequencies, I feel like our frequencies are uplifting.
Yes.
And it's gonna like help us heal and go within as well, quite deeply, I feel like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so everybody, you can tune in to what Breanne is offering you. Again, her website is here. It's readingswithbreanne.com. So again, she is doing private sessions, because that's not what I'm going to be doing. I'm doing group sessions. It still has a private nature to it. But again, I'm still offering that as a group session. But again, if you want just the one-on-ones, you go to Breanne's website, readingswithbreanne.com. Breanne, do you want to talk about some of the sessions that you're offering?
Yeah, for sure. I do offer feng shui, so we can always look into, it's been interesting because for a lot of people that are working on their spiritual development, but they're still kind of hitting brick walls, sometimes it's really important to look at the environment and to see how that's interacting with you. And if it's kind of, if there's any hiccups in terms of maybe finances or even relationships, there's some things we can tweak and remedy and activate as well. So we can do a mini session to look at your money corners. I also offer a free consultation if you guys wanted to just chat about a little bit about the layout and get some more information about it. So that's available for free. In terms of energy healing as well, I'm doing distance Reiki healing, sound vibrational healing as well, and with tarot, I'm also incorporating healing with tarot as well. So it's been a lot of fun to dive into this the last little while. So again, you can do tarot readings, distant Reiki healings, and feng shui services are available as well.
Great. So again, you can check that out at Breanne's website, so readingswithbreanne.com. And again, she is taking bookings. She's starting to get a little bit busier. So again, it's good to book as soon as possible so you can get in very quickly with her. And again, Breanne, thanks for sharing this time with me today.
For sure. Thank you guys.
On Wisdom Transmissions Gather.
All the best, and thank you guys. We'll talk to you guys another time.
All right. We're going to now go ahead and move on into announcements, and then we're going to get into Q&A. So one moment as we go into announcements.
Source Energy enhanced products to repair and rejuvenate the body. From the power of light, to crystals, to bed kits, card decks, and more. View our free samples, tutorials, and testimonials on our website, etherx.co.
Okay, so we are going to get into the swing of things here with our announcements. So again, we have a 20% discount store-wide off all products on Etherix. No discount code required. Again, my voice is a little bit shaky right now, so I'll explain that to you guys in just a minute here. But again, we have a 20% discount store-wide off all products. No discount code required. You can go to etherix.co, check out some of our amazing products. The Source Massage Mat, which again has been getting rave reviews. People are just really benefiting tremendously from this technology. We, of course, have the Source flashlights, both the small flashlight and the super light. And of course, we have the Taurus bed kits. I am in negotiations with a new company to work with the queen and king size bed kits. So again, we're hoping to get some things ready by May, around that time, for when the queen and king size Taurus bed kits will be coming back. And of course, we have the healing code cards, the body deck, the mind deck, the energy deck, or again, as they're now referred to as the etherics card decks. So those are available. We also have crystals, we have selenite, we have the organite pyramids as well too. We got etheric socks, we got insoles, we got sunglasses, we got eye masks, we got all kinds of different products. So again, check that out. And of course, update on Radiate. I'm basically putting kind of a ballpark release date for Radiate between April 15th to April 25th. Okay, so that's just kind of the rough ballpark. It's not 100% set in stone. We're basically just getting things ready now for Apple and for Google, I should say. I'm about to call them Google. They are kind of a Google in a way. But for Apple and for Google, we're just getting everything sorted out with them right now. So it's still a bit of a 2-week wait at least. So again, we're hoping around April 15th to April 25th, we are ready to launch Radiate, both on the Apple Store and on Google Play. Once that is done, we're going to be looking into the Amazon apps as well too, so that will be on Amazon. We're going to see if we can put ourselves out there as much as possible. So again, it's not just going to be on Google Play, it's not just going to be on Apple Store. We're going to try a few different apps. As I said, I just want to get this out there as much as possible. I want it to become multilingual, right? So far we have 20 different languages available through the Radiate app as well too, so you can choose your own native language for the Radiate app. So again, that is going to be available as well too. But again, find out more about this revolutionary scalar and biomagnetic rejuvenation app that replenishes cells, organs, glands, bodily systems, and subtle bodies. Radiate will be available in both a free and premium version when the app launches here in April, and you can sign up through our website to get all the updates. So again, you can go to radiateapp.com, sign up to the updates on the website, and you can be in the know. Like I said, I haven't been able to write a newsletter last week because I've just been recovering a little bit. So I'm going to work to get one ready by this Friday. So my apologies for those of you who've been waiting for one. I was like, Brad, you said Monday. So yeah, I'm sorry guys, I've been kind of recovering a little bit here. And I'll be getting into that here in just again in a moment. Again, we have the Bosnia tour coming up here September 15th to 22nd, 2024. 7 days, 8 nights. Explore the ancient sun pyramid larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, healing chambers within the pyramid and its construction, where I'll be bringing Adronis in. He'll be giving some great details about Bosnia and the Bosnian pyramids. Ancient healing practices and environmental healing, which I'll be teaching, and witnessing sacred sites and harnessing the sacred power of the Bosnian pyramids and a lot of the sacred sites in Bosnia that you'll be able to take back home with you, as I can capture that vibration and put it into anything you wish, whether it's jewelry, crystal, anything of that nature. So again, that's from September 15th to 22nd. You can register now at www.wowtours.de. That's wowtours.de. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with today's broadcast today. So like I said, I had Breanne on. And so again, please check out her website, Readings with Breanne. Her readings have just been sensational. She's helped so many people, and her rates are just extremely affordable as well too. She's also very happy to give you guys a free consultation for her feng shui. Guys, feng shui has been a lifesaver for us because this is exactly how I've gotten sick. I rarely get sick, but what has happened is the last 2 times when I've left my home just to go on a short trip, the first time when I went to Victoria, I basically had a problem with my tooth, had a really bad toothache. And I was able to clear it away with Radiate, no problem, right? And then we went to Whistler just a few days ago, just for the weekend, for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it was just the last day, I basically just got hit with this. I got hit with a fever, I got hit with a nasty thing. And this is just very unusual to me because I usually don't get sick. But I was noticing, Brad, your body is very toxic. And it's now just starting to clear itself out because of me working with Radiate, me starting to clean up my diet as well too. A lot of it is just cleaning up, and I'm noticing that there's a major boost in my immune system. So I needed to kind of take that trip just to kind of crack open a shell and realize that my body has been very unhealthy for the past several years, and ever since the development of Radiate, this is where I'm noticing a lot more of it being cleansed out, right? So when I'm getting this particular type of, no longer a fever, but it was a couple days ago, but basically a bit of a chest cold as well too. this is all just part and parcel of a lot of old toxins in my body just flushing out, right? Because I did not eat healthy at all. I was eating a lot of chicken. I was eating a lot of pork. I was eating beef as well too. I was doing a lot of meat stuff because I was basically trying to be like almost like a candidate for keto in that way. And I've worked with keto for a couple of years, and it did benefits for me because I once weighed 238 pounds, and after doing keto twice, I was able to get down to 202 pounds, right? So I was able to lose about 36 pounds of weight. But there was back in the day, I think it was going back to about 2021 or so before that, I was 238 pounds, right? I was really heavy. And just helping to clear a lot of that stuff out, and keto helped me for that way. But there's a lot of side effects with keto. A lot of it is constipation. A lot of it is joint stiffness as well too. So for the short term, keto worked really, really well. And I was trying to do it again, and I just couldn't do it. I could not do the keto effect again. And I was just noticing that my body was getting really heavy, really dense, just coughing up stuff quite a bit. And I said, what's going on? Keto bailed me out the times before. And I said, it's not working this time. It's not working this time, right? And so I've had that realization of saying, no, it's time to move into fruitarianism. It's time to move into vegetarianism, right? And I will still have a little bit of like salmon and stuff like that. So a little bit of pescatarianism as well too. But I'm really just phasing out all the heavy meats. I'm phasing out all that stuff that I used to eat. And I'm noticing a difference, right? I mean, I can actually, my flexibility is actually starting to come back when I'm doing yoga. It's like, wow, this is good, because I've been eating like a lot of stuff, just fruits and vegetables, especially for about the past 7 to 10 days. And it's made a difference, right? I can feel like there's a lot more flexibility coming into my body, and so this is it. This is exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be making an effort to put at least 70% of my diet into fruits and vegetables, right? And just getting that going. And just we're taking care of doing Radiate daily as well too. It's giving me a lot of good vital energy. It's like Radiate has really been kind of like a compensator for me while I'm just recovering right now. And it's really, really helped. And I'm still building the brand new Radiate Regen. So the commercial version of it is being built. My healing center downstairs is going to be ready on April 16th. So I'm going to be having people over here locally in my neck of the woods in the lower mainland of BC. And if you guys are watching this right now from wherever you are, maybe in BC, or even if you're in Western Washington, and you want to come up and take a look at the healing center, the very first Radiate Regen Center, where we're going to have a lot more down the road, then you can check that out as well too. I'm currently preparing the new website for it. It's going to be called it's called Radiate Regen, okay? But I'm going to be launching that here in the next few days. So probably by late next week, I will have a launch of Radiate Regen. And come May 1st, you guys will be able to fill out commercial applications for those of you who are starting businesses, for those of you who already have a healing center or a wellness center. If you're looking to get started, if you want to run one out of your own house, you'll be able to do that, and you'll be able to apply for a commercial license for the Radiate Regen. So Radiate Regen is going to be even more powerful than the premium version. It's about 100 times more powerful. Don't get me wrong, though, the premium version is extremely powerful itself. What makes it more powerful is that the Radiate Regen thrives with using multiple displays, right? Whereas with the free version and the premium version, you can just completely do well just by having a single screen, right? You can certainly link up other screens to it, and you'll give it much more of a boost. But it's not really designed for that. It's designed just to be a good single screen application. But you can certainly use more screens for that if you want to give it much more of a boost. But the Regen is specifically designed for multiple screens, for multiple displays. It's just going to be designed in that way. So that's why it's going to be 100 times more powerful. So when you come into the healing center that I have downstairs, you're going to be surrounded by 8 different screens. They're about 43 inches wide. So they're 43-inch smart TVs, and they're basically stacked on double wall stands, or double TV stands, I should say. And basically they're all they're all aligned with each other, so they're all in sync, and they're running together. And it's very much like a similar feeling like when you have EE systems. Now, again, I don't know the entire in and out of the EE systems that Dr. Sandra Rose Michael has created. There's a lot of stuff that she has put into it, but also there's a lot of stuff that I'm putting into Radiate. So I can't say if EE systems or Radiate more powerful than one another. I'd say we're just doing the same job. We're doing the same job, and we're just offering it in our own unique ways. And like I said, I have nothing but respect for the EE systems and for what Sandra Rose Michael has created, and I'm basically just putting my own version out there. And so it's going to be wonderful. So again, that is going to be coming here very, very soon. So again, guys, I wanted to give you a little bit of a background about how things are going with me. Like I said, it's not going to be too long of a broadcast today because my voice is going to hold out for so long. I'm just putting intentions just for my voice to hold out before I'm coughing my head off here. So basically, I'm just trying to spare my voice. I've had to cancel sessions this week because I just don't think my voice is going to hold out too long. So this is why we're probably going to do about 30 minutes worth of just of Q&A today, right? As much as I want to do a group healing session, like I said, I just don't want to push my luck with my voice holding out. So we'll go to about 11 o'clock today, okay, doing about a half hour of Q&A. I will not be bringing in Adronis today, okay, that's always been an old rule of mine. If I've ever been under the weather, if there's been problems with the communication of my voice, I never bring him through. I always wait until I'm well. I wait till my voice is completely recovered, because especially when Adronis comes in, it's like an energy bar. It's going up, and that would really be pushing my voice. And I'm just getting the feeling that, he doesn't want to do that. I said, no, recover first, get well first, and then you can come through with me. So I'm just gonna be doing questions today, just as myself, right? Not bringing in Adronis or anything of that nature. So again, hope that's okay with you guys. It's going to be kind of a short episode today. This is why I wanted to bring in Breanne, because she could do some talking while I spare my voice at the same time. And I also wanted to help her with bringing her website out there as well too. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started with Q&A. So again, hello everybody. Next week is going to be different, because tomorrow I'm going to be on the Signpost live as well too. I'm going to be bringing the Signpost back to YouTube. Okay, it's still going to be on Rumble, and it's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to be simulcasting, okay? What I'm also going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing Wisdom Transmissions Gathering onto Rumble as well too, okay? That's all going to start next week. So basically, Wisdom Transmissions Gathering is going to be on YouTube and Rumble, and the Signposts Live is going to be on YouTube and Rumble, okay? So Rumble and YouTube together are going to be working together. So I'm looking forward to that. I may be getting some new software for that as well too. So I'm looking forward to that, basically enjoying bringing two audiences together, my YouTube audience and my Rumble audience together, so that they can both enjoy Wisdom Transmissions Gathering and the Signposts. Okay, so again, tune in tomorrow. This will be the last day tomorrow, where I'll just be having the Signpost on Rumble, and then the week after, it'll be YouTube Rumble simulcast. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with some questions here. Hello, everybody. Good to see you're all here. So, like I said, doing what I can to spare my voice, so bear with me if I'm chugging down water. Okay, so here's one from Mary. Hello, Mary. Mary asks, hi, Brad. Do our family and friends that have passed away hear us when we talk to them, be it in our mind or out loud? All the time. All the time. Like I said, it's invisible strings that connects us all. It's invisible cords that connects us all. And everything that we think, everything that we portray, everything that we express reverberates those strings. It reverberates those cords, right? So when you have a loved one who has passed on, who has left their body, firstly in that sense, when we get into the generations ahead, and this is just a little bit of an add-on that I'm giving you, when we get to the generations ahead, there's going to be less mourning and there's going to be more celebrating, because we are going to be moving much more into a spiritualized culture. We are going to be moving forward into a civilization that is going to touch that other realm that we're not so familiar with. Like I said, we're really seeing kind of a goodbye to what we would know as the dense, hardened, physical reality, right? This is why veils are dropping. This is, again, why we've had experiences where people are seeing things. They're seeing faces in the sky, right? They zoom in on the moon, all of a sudden they see a face there, right? There's flashes of light, and you're seeing like giants running or walking around in the background. These are showings that our veils are dropping. It's not going to be such a way anymore, where it's just dense physical reality. In fact, you may have, again, apparitions of loved ones that are coming into your house. Now, here's a secret. There's another add-on that you guys can do. I think I've talked about this before, but just in case you guys weren't around to hear it, I'll mention it again. One of the experiments you can do is just take your phone, okay? Doesn't matter if you have an iPhone or whatever it is, right? Your Samsung Galaxy or iPhone. This is a Samsung Galaxy here. Doesn't one I would use that much anymore, but it's kind of my spare phone. But what you do is go out at night, okay? Like your backyard, just anywhere, maybe somewhere in nature would be nice, okay? and put your flash on, okay? And then all you're doing is you're pointing at a certain area, right? So if I have some bushes around me, I'm just pointing to that area. And I'm just going to tune in for a moment, and I just say, any of my loved ones, any loving spirit who wants to come through, so that I can capture your image on my phone. I'm going to take this picture. Let yourself come through. I would really like to see you, okay? And really just put forward that sankalpa, put forward that soulful intent, that heart-based intent. And you're just pointing your camera at that, and maybe just do like a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a picture. And keep doing it, right? Take about 5, 10, 15 pictures. And you'll notice that as you take the picture, you may actually capture an apparition. I've actually done this. I get this beautiful kind of white apparition that was appearing on it, because I just basically said, all right, I had a friend of mine who was on, and he actually was teaching me this, about just going outside, just make sure the flash is on, right? You can just use your simple smartphone or iPhone, that's fine. You can even use a tablet, that's fine too. But you just want to make sure you have the flash on. The flash is very important, okay? And you're just telling them, I'm going to be taking a picture right here. If there's my loved ones that are coming through, if there's any loving spirits that want to come through, just to let me capture them, right? Just as the intention of love here. Please let this happen, as I will be taking a picture here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and take a picture, right? And just keep taking more pictures, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and review them, right? So you may want to even just take a picture beforehand and say, okay, this is what I'm getting just from the bushes itself. And now as I compare the other pictures, I'm getting little orbs floating in here, right? I'm getting apparitions coming through. Oh my God, I'm looking like an apparition, like a man is standing there. Oh, well, he's wearing a suit and a tie. Oh, it looks like my dad. Huh. Looks like my brother. Looks like my grandfather, etc. This can happen, right? This is what we call spirit photography. This is what I would suggest you guys do, right? To see for yourself. Because I can tell you these things. I can tell you about the invisible strings. I can tell you about the invisible chords. But when you actually take these things and put them into practice, you not only become a believer, you know that this is the way it is. This is amazing, right? Here's my picture before I did that intention. And now here's all these sets of pictures that I've done afterwards, and I've caught quite a few different things. I got orbs on camera. I got this spirit apparition of light that's come through. I've even got this apparition of what looks like my grandfather, right, standing by the bush. That's it, guys. That's all you have to do. And why do we do it at night? Because spirit is much more ripe at night, okay? That's kind of like the nighttime is where spirit comes alive, right? It just flourishes throughout the entire planet. So that's exactly why you want to do it at nighttime, and you're using the flash in that way. So again, as you talk about, Mary, about our family and our friends have passed away, can they hear us when we talk about them? Absolutely. And like I said, if you're doing this, because again, you're reverberating those chords, they can come through if it's their choosing, right? Like I said, it's not the idea in that sense, and so many people get this incorrect, is feeling that, well, if I'm bringing them in, then they better get here. If I'm going to call them in, then they better take my call, and that's it. That's like trying to tell another person who you're trying to call over the phone to pick up the phone when they're not answering the dial tone, right? This is a two-way conversation, right? This is a two-way street here. So when you're looking at your family, when you're looking at your friends who have moved on, right, who have dropped their bodies, and they have returned back into spirit, it really is still a two-way street, right? They could be communicating with you quite a lot, and it's very, very subtle. It can be very, very subtle. Sometimes it can get to extremes where they're knocking things over in that sense. But the whole idea here is that there needs to be a mutual cooperation, right? There needs to be mutual work together. And like I said, if you're going out to the same place every single night, let's say it's 9:30, right? And you're going to this little corner of your backyard, or maybe it's on your balcony or anything of that nature, and you got some nice plants there. So it's good to try and do it where there's nature, right? Have like some shrubs, have a garden, right? Have some trees around you, etc. And just take a picture, take several pictures. And if you keep doing that every single night at a designated time, I can guarantee you're going to find something very interesting doing that over and over and over again, maybe for the first couple of weeks, okay? So you want to basically set a schedule for yourself, and you want to show that you're committed to this. You want to do something. So like I said, you're putting that intention out. You're reverberating those invisible strings. And Spirit is saying, okay, well, she's dedicated. She's committed, right? She's showing up the same spot every single night, and her faith is letting this happen. And now here you go. You're getting all these incredible sightings just through your camera because you're reverberating those strings, right? So those are the chords, those are the invisible strings that connect us all. So guys, why do chords connect to us? Why do we have these invisible strings? It's because of rapport. It's because of love. It's because of happiness. It's because of the people in that sense that have added to our life, right? Life itself is all about the wholeness. It's everything that we understand as individuals. It's everything that we understand as people, as animals, as nature, as circumstances, etc. But that's what makes the fruit with life. Life is never singular. Life is always multiples. But even through that multiplicity, there still is just the one unity, right? So again, when you are connected with someone who you deeply love, do you think that they're just going to throw that away, right? That's like going to your husband who tells you how much he absolutely loves you, or your wife who tells you that she absolutely loves you, who thinks that just one day they're just going to throw that away. You know that's not going to happen, okay? If you have loved ones that you know deeply, truly love you, why do you think that when they leave the body, they're just going to throw you away? You see, that's nothing but an illusion. And this is something that I want to help to educate you guys with and talk to others about who feel that they have lost very important people to them and thinking that they're abandoned, and say, well, did this person love you with all their heart? Oh yeah, they did. And why did you think that they're just going to chuck you away? Well, they're not in their body anymore, so what? Do you think you're going to be in this body forever? Are you immortal? No. Their time had come. And do you think that they're not still going to connect with you? Because when you're being connected in this way, you are connecting with the natural essence of yourself. And that's all they do. They drop the body, right? They cannot talk to you in this physical plane because they have no body to interact with you. Their interface device is gone. It has deceased. But now they're attempting to reach you spiritually. They're attempting to reach you through your emotions. They're attempting to reach you through thoughts. They're attempting to reach you through feelings. And you can use certain conveniences of tools to help capture the essences of them. And you can see for yourself that they are indeed there and they want to speak with you. Okay? So that can be a device that you can use. That can be an aid that can help you all together. But really it just comes down into the inside of yourself. Right? Can I clear away all of these particular emotions and mentalities that are blocking me from connecting to the spirit world, to where my ancestors are now, to where my friends, my family are? Yeah, that's all my family. Can I connect to it? Absolutely. But you need to be clean. You need to be clear. Okay? So when you talk to somebody who's passed on, those webs, those cobwebs, those strings are always reverberating. Okay, so Mary, a very good question about that. Thank you for that. Okay, 1 second, guys. Doing my best to stretch out my voice as best I can here. Okay, so here's one from Tammy. Tammy says, greetings, Brad. On the day of the eclipse, should we remain indoors? As I have heard that eclipses or energies emanating are very negative and harmful. It's not that they're negative, okay? It's not that an eclipse is negative, right? An eclipse is not a negative thing. If it was a negative thing, it wouldn't be happening. Nothing in nature is negative, right? Nature itself resides in the non-dual, right? And a lot of people have a difficult time with that. But again, think, oh, we live in a duality. No, you guys don't live in a duality, right? Your duality is nothing but your own perceptions. Nature itself does not use a calculator. Nature itself does not use spreadsheets or anything of that nature. The way that nature works is through harmonious balance with itself, and that harmonious balance is the non-dual, okay? An eclipse is part of that harmonious, balanced nature, okay? It's all part of doing its work. It's going to balance out other things that we cannot see, smell, taste, touch, or hear, or even perceive, because it's not even on this plane, okay? But when you're looking at all these other planes that go beyond the physicality of things, everything just connects together. Everything just snaps together. Everything's harmonizing together, right? It looks like things are moving apart, but they're still connected, right? Even if it's just at the tip. And then they start moving back, right? And then they start moving apart. And it looks like, oh my God, it's separating, it's separating. No, look, it's right at the tip. It's right at the tip, and then goes back. It's our perceptions that give you the impression that things are separate, that things are chaotic, that if we're getting an eclipse, oh my God, it's horrible, it's some sort of unnatural thing, it's negative, it's brutal. And it's not like that, okay? It's an intense experience, yes. And like I said, it's a surgical time for the earth. The earth is getting surgery. It's a spiritual surgery for the earth, okay? Now, again, if you look at the science in regards to what the eclipse does, like I said, you have the sun, you have the moon, and you have a ray that basically comes out through that conjoining, okay? That ray is incredibly powerful. Now, that ray, in that sense, is designed to cut something open, okay? That is a laceration that is being given to the earth, but again, this is all part of the natural harmony. When that laceration is cutting across, well, again, from Mexico, going all the way up through the United States, and up into Atlantic Canada, that's a big incision, okay? And through that incision, a lot of gunk, a lot of debris is going to be coming out. So during the time when that eclipse is coming through, it would be a good idea to stay indoors, okay? It would be, and I know a lot of people aren't, right? They got their eclipse glasses and they're fascinated, but okay, that's fine, and enjoy yourselves, that's fine. But basically why I'm sharing this is because it's very much like what how the indigenous have shared as well too. They knew that when times of old like this had happened, to basically stay indoors because this is between the eclipse and the earth, right? It's a conjoining time, it's a deep time, it's a healing time, right? And so this is why they would always suggest just stay indoors. Just to, if you can manage to stay indoors for a few minutes or a few hours, right? That's good. Especially if you're very much in on the cusp of where the line itself is crossing, right? So if you're going again from around Texas, or if you're around the area of Atlantic Canada, in that sense, where the ground zero of the ray is going to be cutting, you need to take that into consideration because you're at ground zero. You're at the most intense point of that. The entire Earth is going to feel the eclipse. I don't care where you are in the world, right? You could be in Australia, and you're going to feel the eclipse, right? You can be in Zimbabwe, right? You can be in China. You're going to feel the energy of the eclipse, but it's much more intense on the path. The path, again, is that intensity. And so, like I said, it's very much a healing time. But again, people want to go out and they want to have their eclipse glasses and they want to view the eclipse, and that's going to happen, okay? I'm not here to tell you what you guys can and cannot do. Basically, I'm just staying at home. And that way, it's not even on my path, of course, so there's no real concern about that. If it's not on your path, then you're fine. You guys can just go out and do whatever you need to do. But this is more about for people that are along the path there, right? It would just be a good idea just to stay indoors, probably close the curtains as well too, and just be in your own space and harmonize your own space, right? Bless your own space, because this is a very, very sacred time, and it's part of the natural harmonics of how the universe functions. It is not some dark, horrible, despicable, revolting, satanic thing that's going on. It's not about that. That's not how nature works. Nature is always harmony, and this is all part of a harmonic that needs to take place, that is basically, like I said, doing a surgery because the earth requires it. The earth has had, in that sense, years and years, many millennia of dirt and grime and filth and viruses and bacteria. And basically we're clearing that out, and it's a celestial surgery, a celestial spiritual surgery that's taking place. It needs to happen, right? So however you decide to interact is up to you. All I can suggest is if you're along the path, might be good to stay indoors, right? A lot of people have injured their eyes as well too, because they've decided to look at the eclipse. Oh, I'll just have my ordinary sunglasses and stuff. The people were asking me that about etherics. I said, no guys, the etheric sunglasses are not going to protect you from an eclipse, okay? Do not do that, all right? It's helping you with your eyes, but like I said, the kind of glasses in that sense are not calibrated for an eclipse. So please do not use those, right? You need special eclipse glasses. I do not offer that through etherics. You have to go talk to a specialty store or something of that nature, okay? Be very careful because people can blind themselves with eclipses. It's extremely detrimental. So just like you don't look up at the sun, you don't look at an eclipse, okay? It can permanently blind you. So just be aware of that, okay? But no, it's not some negative thing. It's something this is exactly why Breanne came in and did a reading with it. It's a cleanup. You got it, right? It's a letting go. It's a shifting, right? It's an uplifting that's taking place. we're going to see a lot more intense events that's going to follow the eclipse. And this is exactly what I've looked at with tarot readings, with the zodiac and so forth. There's going to be a lot of intensities that are coming through, but these intensities are happening because what's happening is like this fiery furnace. This fiery furnace is just consuming everything that represents greed. It's bringing people up. It's shifting them into higher levels where people are now starting to take their own power back. They're making their voices heard. People are realizing what's going on, and these faulty governments are trying to match them with what they're doing, but it's not happening. People start getting higher and higher and higher. The government keeps trying to suppress and suppress, and they have a glass ceiling. People do not. People don't have a glass ceiling, but a government has a glass ceiling. And when they start to hit the roof of the glass ceiling with this big, gigantic, inflated ego head, the glass ceiling is going to shatter. And the government and the way that your country once worked will die. And that's basically what's going to happen. You are looking at the end of democracy. You are looking at the end of everything pertaining to an old system of how a government works. It's all dying, right? Like I said, if we're starting to see talks, we're starting to hear that people are starting to move, I would say world leaders in that sense, are considering turning states, provinces, countries into independent states, province, and countries, you are on the right track, right? That's moving into a republic. And that's eventually where the whole world is going to be in time, okay? But it's going to happen small. It's going to be talked about. It's going to be discussed. And the blueprints are going to start showing up this year. It already is, right? That's a sign of a good thing. And the eclipse ushers in such bigger events like that to take place, all right? So thank you, Tammy, for your question. So again, guys, I'm not bringing Adronis in today, just recovering right now. So next week he'll be here. But I can answer this question generally for you, Big Cat, right? Because you're asking Adronis if we recommend sun gazing for a purification. And he has talked about this before, right? He has said that yes, the good times to do it is at sunrise and at sunset, okay? So when the sun rises, that's the perfect time for sun gazing. When the sun starts to set, that's the perfect time for sun gazing. You don't want to do it in the middle of the day when it's bright. Like I said, you don't look at an eclipse. You don't look at the sun when it's at its maximum. Okay, so sunrise, sunset. Now, I have personally done that. Have I felt some increase? Yes. There's a lot of vitality that comes in. That's getting a great replenishment of vitamin D too, by the way. But yes, you get amazing, just everything in your body just lights up, right? You're basically getting all of that nourishment. It's lighting up your nervous system. It's lighting up your mitochondria. It's lighting up your vitamin D. It does all kinds of tremendous benefits from you. So if you do it, sunrise and sunset. Absolutely. It purifies in many different ways. So again, a lot of our, just everything lights up. Our nervous system lights up. Our endocrine systems light up. Our glands are getting all the good nourishment. Our organs are getting the nourishment. Our vitamin D supply is spiking through the roof. So again, major benefits to help with the body's purification. But like I said, you don't just stick to one thing and thinking that your body is going to be pure. Okay, we are living in a toxic soup. So we have to make sure everything represents and harmonizes a purification with us. And this is what I had to realize because I was eating shitty food. Okay? So again, you want to make sure that your diet is good, right? Really what I would suggest, guys, is fruits and vegetables. This is what's actually helping me to get better as I go through this metamorphosizing change right now. Because my lungs have been really contaminated for a long time. And there was a lot of viruses in it. And it really goes down to, and I'm not trying to gross anybody out, but it really goes down into knowing the color of mucus, right? If you're sick and you're spewing out a lot of green mucus, that means you have a very bad immune system, okay? And my immune system was really, really bad in the past. When I was sick in the past, it was always green mucus. That's horrible. This time, when I've been ill, and I'm noticing it, it's yellow. That's good. That means there's white blood cells that are filling the lungs, and they're winning. They're prevailing against the viruses. That's very good. So when you have that kind of yellow mucus, take joy in the way that this is actually happening, because when it's over with, you're going through a purification. This is like going in a cocoon for a little bit and then coming out as this purified butterfly. And that's really how I see it. And I'm not, oh my God, I got a cold, and oh, this is so horrible, hey, isn't an enlightened being not supposed to be sick? And like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Well, Brad, you talk about enlightenment and illumination. Are you supposed to be sick? Well, maybe you're not so enlightened and you're not so illuminated and stuff like that because you're sick. Like, what are you talking about? Right? And I'm not saying I'm being the enlightened one here or anything of that nature. I just live as I live. However anyone perceives me is how anyone perceives me. But if we're basically looking at a lot of these great teachers in the past, a lot of them were ill a lot of the time. Right? We look at someone like Ramana Maharshi, who basically couldn't even walk. Right? He was in pain all the time, but his compassion was the shining flame of himself. Right? We have all of these great teachers of the past who were sick all the time. They did not care about their body whatsoever. They were constantly ill. They were constantly struggling with their body, but they did not show it. Because they realized that even though I have a body and a mind, I see them as faculties. I see the body and I see the mind as a tool. I see the body and I see the mind as a support system. If you see your body truthfully in that way and your mind truthfully in that way, you have reached an enlightenment experience. And I'm telling that to everybody who's watching this video right now. If you have seen your body realizing that my body is a tool, it is a support system, right? And I'm not getting hung up on it in regards to its melodrama. The mind is a tool, it is a support system, and I'm not getting hung up in the melodrama of the mind. You've already reached an enlightenment state, right? Now that's how I naturally am, and again, I'm not boasting about it, but that's how I am, right? Does that mean that Brad can never get sick? This body named Brad cannot ever get sick? No, right? Or the personality that Brad is? No, right? Again, the body will go through its shifts. The body may get a cold, okay? The body may get a flu. The body may stub its toe. The body may dislocate a shoulder. It's exactly what happened to me too. Does that make a person any less illuminating? No. In fact, how they deal with it gives you a greater strengthening of the essence of enlightenment. How you deal with it is truly the key here. That's something a lot of people don't understand. So there's a lot more to the nature of the enlightenment process where you think, oh, I'm built like a Greek god now. I'm made out of gold. I can never get sick again, right? And even I used to think that. So I just don't get sick anymore, blah, blah, blah. And that in that sense becomes an arrogance, right? And I've noticed that. So I don't get sick anymore. I don't get sick and that stuff. And I just saw that really is arrogant. If the body needs to get ill, if the body needs to go through this metamorphosis and it needs to shift, let it. Okay? What am I trying to do? Am I supposed to win merit badges, gold stars because I don't get sick anymore, right? And when you have people like that, to me, that just goes much more into the ego, right? So I don't get sick anymore. I don't get sick. Oh, then all of a sudden something happens and they get sick. And now people start raising their eyebrow about hey, you said you didn't get sick. Hey, I guess this person's not as enlightened as they think it is, right? And it just becomes, again, a three-ring circus, right? There is nothing wrong with your body needing to go through the shifts that it needs to, whether it's getting injured, whether it gets ill, okay? How you deal with it determines the attitude of one's enlightenment. That's the key. All right? So again, thank you very much, Big Cat, for your question there about the sun, sun gazing. Okay, so let's go to Amberus. Amberus says, question, hi Brad, is it true that we're vibrating on a frequency so high now that people from a few decades ago wouldn't be able to see us? Yes, I have talked about that. I wouldn't say if it was a few decades ago, but if it's going back a couple of 100 years, right? If you're going back a couple of 100 years, and let's say, for example, okay, maybe you got a time machine or something like that, right? You're going back and you're setting coordinates to 300 years in the past. Well, you would basically be operating on a frequency, and it depends on the person. If a person's like really, really sick and they're very, very dense, probably not so much. But if it's a person who's doing a lot of their inner practices, a lot of their inner work, they're healthy, they're radiant, they're well, yeah, that person, again, would almost feel like an alien to them, right? Because your energy is just spiking through the roof. And we're living in a very, very different type of energized time, right? So even though the earth herself is going through a toxic soup, the energetics that are lifting the earth up is so incredibly powerful. So again, if you took care of yourself, if you did a really good job taking care of yourself and you were able to go back 200, 300 years in the past, you would appear like an illuminated being to them, right? Because you come from a very different type of earth. 200 to 300 years ago, Earth did not have that kind of charge, right? This charge started happening after World War II. It started off very, very slowly, and it started to build and build and build and build, and here we are in 2024, where there is so much energetic pull towards the Earth charging herself up. And like I said, a lot of that comes from the sun, right? The sun is giving all of that nourishment to the Earth, and she's charging herself up. And it's like these two pistons that are just coming together, and they get more intense, 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 right? Whereas back then, if we're looking at 200 and 300 years ago, it's maybe kind of like this. It's like very, very softly kneading dough, right? And then we come in today, and it's shh. And then 300 years ago, okay? So that's giving you the impression that you are in a very high-charged Earth, right? You're in this powerful, living supermagnet that's just oscillating and pulsing and strengthening herself up so much. And the charge is getting so intense, and everything that represented what we considered to be the modern day of life is being questioned. All of these old things that we thought was part of life is now being torn apart. Everything in that sense is just on the cusp of immense and tremendous transitional change, right? And that is a sign that you're living on a highly charged Earth. So if you went back into the past where those oscillations were slow, yeah, you'd probably be looking at like a being who's illuminated, right? An illuminated being in that sense. They could feel it in that person. Because again, you're coming from a charged Earth, whereas in that sense there is a slow charged Earth, and they're just not really compatible with each other. So with your high charge, because you've been taking care of yourself, yes, you could appear almost like an illuminated being of light, right? I'll just adjust my camera here a bit. There we go. So yes, that would certainly be the case. Very good question. I talked about that quite some time ago. But yeah, that's really what it is. It's not some person who's like sluggish and, and full of toxicity and all that stuff like that. That would be a little bit of a different story, because they're having a difficult time trying to keep up with the energetics of the Earth. But for a person who is keeping up with it, that is certainly what you could see. Okay, guys, I think we're going to take one or two more questions, because I think my throat here is going to go. So I'll probably go to two more questions, and then we're going to wrap up, okay? But again, I'll be back tomorrow for the signposts. So hopefully my voice holds up there too. But like I said, I've had to cancel sessions this week because I'm just trying to recuperate. Elena says, hello, I have a question. I noticed that many people around me who are not awake spiritually are behaving really angry, stressed, confrontational, and disoriented. Is this because that energy income? This is exactly what's happening. In 2021, I would talk with Adronis, and basically he would talk about what's known as a point of no return, okay? And that point of no return has, again, flourished for the past couple of years, and that's basically how it is right now. Now, basically, you're kind of, if we're looking at a vibrational level, okay, you're either kind of very, very dense, or you're kind of in the middle, or maybe you're a little more higher up, okay? People in that middle are much more mutable, right? They may go a little bit lower to the dense, or they may go a little bit higher to the dense. And there's people who are really higher up that'll just continue to blaze a trail, right? And then you have the people who are in the pit. It's kind of like what I've talked about, the 4 levels of human spiritual evolution, right? Where you have the pit, and then you have the solid ground, the valley, right? And then you have the ascent of the mountain, and then you have the summit, okay? The pit people, okay? They are behaving exactly as you've mentioned, Alina, okay? They're very angry, they're very stressed, they're very confrontational, and they're very disoriented. Is it impossible for them to get out of the pit and come into these higher levels, as I talked about? It's not impossible, but it's really, really challenging, right? And this is when I was talking in 2020, 2021, I said, guys, got to get your affairs in order. Because when the shit hits the fan, which it has, you're going to find that moving into these higher states are almost an impossibility for you. And that's what's happened. It's like trying to jump from one train onto another. Here's 2 trains. They're basically maybe about 20 feet apart, okay? And they're still blazing at the same speed, okay? But this one's kind of going off in this direction, more closer to the pit. And this one's moving up closer to the mountain, up to the summit. So the sliding door opens up, and you got this person who's limbering up, and then there's another sliding door on the other train. So, okay, I want you to jump 20 feet from that train over to this one at this speed. It's impossible. It's not impossible. It's very highly improbable. Okay? Unfortunately, Alina, those people have made their choice. Okay? And it's basically at a point where they are going to continue to be angry. They're going to continue to be stressed because these people have had a lot of assistance. They've had a lot of help, and they've shut it all down. They are in their mind of feeling that the world is coming to an end. They are in their mind of feeling that nobody can help them, that nobody can save them, even though hands are reaching out to them all the time, slapped away. Now, their analogy I give is like the Titanic sinking, and you have the rescue boats all around it, right? And they're saying, okay, just jump in the water, right? Just jump. And here's the Titanic belly up, and she's just about to go down, right? Just jump, get right on the rescue boats. It may look like it's harsh, but you can do it. You can do it. We'll help you. Nope. They're still going to save me at the last minute. And then it goes down. Okay? So people who are really angry, really stressed, really confrontational, they basically took this world for granted. They have worked with false systems. They have worked with a false sense of security. They have let their anger be their companion, right? And it's going to be very, very difficult for them at this stage to remedy that, okay? For them to basically go through significant changes, it can happen, but it's not too common, okay? This is why I say that this even goes back into biblical proverb as well, too, is we're separating the wheat from the chaff, okay? Unfortunately, those people have chosen the chaff side, right? They have felt that the government, that the way that the modern systems live, that the modern systems, the way that they are, would be their saving grace. And it hasn't. So what's going to happen to them? Well, their anger, their stress, their confrontational nature, their disorientation is going to increase. Because like I said, if you do not work on yourself and you've already hit the point of no return, it is going to be a very, 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 very difficult time for you. Okay? Because again, you're right here, you're at rock bottom, right? And this is where, and people like that have talked to me for many years. Oh, Brad, I wanted to get this, I'm going to get that done. And why is this always happening against me, right? And it just feels like the entire world is against them. And I said, my friend, you're at war with yourself. It's your world that's at war with yourself, right? Rather than thinking it's everybody else's fault. And they have not made the significant changes to move them into a much more secure space with themselves, right? They still think that the body and the mind is what they are. That's their ownership. I'm the body, I'm the mind, right? They don't see it as a faculty. They don't see it as a support system. And unfortunately, you get so ingrained into the material life, you basically feel that the 5 sense reality is all there is. You feel in that sense that everything's about money. Everything's about trying to make a living, and if you don't have money, if you don't have this, then everything's going to fall apart, and it just cascades upon themselves, more cascading upon all that, and all this rubble is happening, and they get buried in the rubble, and they don't know how to get themselves out, right? And they think that somebody is going to come along and bail them out. It doesn't work that way. There's guides, there's helpers, there's assistants, but you're not going to have a person that says, come on, I'll fix your whole life for you. Then that person basically has an alibi. That person has a motive. That person basically wants to control you, right? And that's really how it is. That's how you get vampires, right? Vampires are basically a person that comes along, come on, I'll fix everything up for you. Just trust me, put your faith in me, and I'll take care of you, right? And people are so desperate that they'll do that. And what happens is they get usurped. They get drained, right? And I keep saying, guys, even though I'm sharing this stuff with you, I am but a guide. I am but an assistant, a supporter, a tutor, perhaps, right? A guide, a teacher in that way, sure. But again, I'm not here to liberate you. Okay? Nobody on this planet is here to liberate you. You're here to liberate yourself. The only reason you need to liberate yourself is because you have false implications of what you think you are. And that needs to be realized. And they have not given themselves the opportunity to realize this. And so they get violent, they get angry, they get full of fear, they become confrontational, they want to slap your hand away, they want to yell at you when you haven't even said anything to them. And that, again, is the chaff being separated from the wheat, right? This is the biblical proverb that is happening right now. As much as I would love to say, guys, every person of the 8 billion people that are here is going to move on to something more prosperous, it's not true. right? There are those who are going to, and there are those who are not going to. And they are going to live the rest of their lives in regret. They're going to live the rest of their lives in confrontation, in separation consciousness. And we can certainly give our blessings and our love to them, as always, yes. But like I said, that's an amplifier if they can connect. And like I said, it's kind of like trying to jump from one train onto another to really get that kind of leap that you need to get back on track. And even Adronis, when he was talking about this, it's not impossible, but it's very highly improbable. We basically are seeing divisions of the world taking place. You have all these different groups, and they're all segregating. And this is what we call the repopulation protocol. Okay? The repopulation protocol is a video I've done on this channel. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you go look it up on my channel. The repopulation protocol. Okay? And so what happens in that sense is all these groups start dividing. Right? It's kind of looking at like a cell divide. You have all these different cells, and they all represent different groups, right? And each of these groups represent different things, right? So here's the atheists, here's the Christians, here's the Catholics, here's the people who are transgender, all these other different groups, and they all have different extremes to themselves and different polarities in that way. And then there's also groups that are dividing out of those groups, and they're kind of huddling more towards the center. And the center are those ones that is the wheat. Okay? So even though you have all of these groups and all these blobs that represent these different diversities and different polarities, people who are so hardcore with government, and it's just an extreme in a certain way. Put any kind of extreme you want there, there's a blob. Okay? But then there's people that are coming out of these blobs, and they're forming in the center. That center is the wheat. Okay? The ones that do not separate from those blobs are the chaff. And they're basically going to take themselves out in any way that it needs to happen, whether they go through natural causes of change and they leave the body full of regret. Okay? But as long as you're in those extreme groups, you're going to leave this body, you're going to leave this world with some form of regret. You're going to leave this world with extremes. Okay? What happens to those people? They're basically being released from the earth completely, which means they're going to have to go to other planets. They're going to have to go to other dimensions. They're going to go to other worlds to learn about what they need to learn. If you're in the chaff, you're basically being excreted from the earth. It's basically what's happening here. It's the ones that are able to gravitate themselves in the center because they see past extremes. They realize that the body and the mind are a support system. And they realize that their love, what's in their heart, their compassion, their wanting to give, their love, their happiness, their joy, wanting to help humanity, even though they're going through their own challenges. We're not talking about perfect people that's huddled here in the center, but we're talking about people who are good-hearted. We're just talking about the good-hearted people. And the good news is a lot of them are on the planet here. Okay? That is what we call advancement. Not ascension, okay, but advancement. Advancement is the ability of one who is much more on a heart path. So when you're getting out of the lower three chakras and you're here, you're on the heart path. What does it feel like for a person who's on the heart path, Brad? Good question. Glad you asked, right? What does it feel like a person in that sense cares about more people than he does himself, or she does herself, okay? He or she is always wanting to give. Always compassionate, always open. New ideas, new innovations. They love that. They want to grow. They want to expand. They want to see people do well. They want to give so much of themselves, right? It's much more of the nature of a selfless service, right? Love is in their hearts. Compassion is in their hearts. They want to see people do well. And the good news is there's a lot of people like that on the planet, right? So the good news is that the advancement harvest will be quite bountiful. Okay, and then of course there's even a deeper center. There is the ascension crowd that's in the center of the center, right? So here's the outside center, kind of like a bullseye where you have the green, then you have the red, right? And those ones are basically the ones that are going to move on into realms of beauty, realms of divinity that we can't even imagine, right? Because they have done so much divine work on this planet, and it's just the idea that they are cultivating their own rewards, right? So we have the outer green, which represent very loving people, but they're still going through their own challenges. And there have been people in that sense who are able to surpass all those challenges and just see themselves as the whole. They see themselves with the body and the mind as faculties, and they are just bringing the divine into them boundlessly, right? And those are the ones that are going to go into those divine kingdoms. Those are the ones that are going to be like the cream of the crop, okay? That's the embryo. That's the embryo that is going to successfully pass through repopulation, okay? So repopulation of the planet is going to be seeded through that embryo, and the generations ahead are going to seed from that embryo. Because everybody that's in the outer crust, that's basically caked on, and it's nasty, right? And there's a bunch of grime and filth and slime there. All of that's going to be wiped off, okay? And that's going to be wiped off within the next couple of generations, okay? So it may take up to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years to wipe off all the cake of that debris where the embryo itself is growing. And now what comes out of that embryo are divine loving beings, right? And that is exactly what's coming through this new earth. This new earth is going to be reseeded with the most incredible, powerful human beings that we never thought could propagate here. That's what's ahead for Earth. Right now, we're just looking at the caked-on mess. We're looking at the blobs, and we're seeing the conversion of the cell, the embryo, right? The wheat being separated from the chaff. All right? So we're going to end with that question. Thank you, Elena. It was a beautiful question. Thank you, everybody. Please tune in tomorrow on rumble.com. And you just go to the Signpost Live. You can type it on the search bar, or just go to rumble.com/Signpost Live, and you can join me tomorrow as we're going to have viewer topics for the signposts. Like I said, next week, Rumble and YouTube combination of both Wisdom Transmissions Gathering and the signposts as well. Hope you're all having a wonderful week, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Om Shanti 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 Namaskar. May it be well with you all. Take care. Bye for now.